Okay, so at this point I've played Back for Blood for just over 8 hours. I think it's enough to give first impressions, and first off, if you like Left 4 Dead, you'll like Back for Blood. It really is that simple. They've gone to a great effort to really try and reproduce what Left 4 Dead had when it came to the core gameplay. Now, I don't think they've managed to recapture its soul, and even saying that, I can't really put my finger on why exactly it is. I think it's a whole host of small little things that Left 4 Dead had. Like, it had a lot more zombies. When that scream, all the yell of the zombies when you'd set off an alarm and stuff, that all mattered. It gave you a certain sense. And that seems to be missing from this. The zombies just don't have the same impact for me. The spiky faces and just they're not the same as just pure human ones. The yell, the noises they make, none of that has the same impression of just normal human zombies. And on top of that, they don't have the sheer amount of zombies that they do in Left 4 Dead and Back 4 Blood. I don't know what it is. I think a lot of it could be down to the fact that in Left 4 Dead, a lot of the time, the zombies would go inside each other, and in this, they don't. They also seem to run a bit slower, and everything's all a lot less frantic than it was for Left 4 Dead. One of the perfect examples of this is the bridge map on Left 4 Dead, where you have to run across it. That's actually reproduced in the beta, and it's literally nowhere near the same level. There's not as many zombies. Yeah, they're coming up from the sides and stuff, but you can just run past them, occasionally turn around, shoot 2 or 3, and carry on. Whereas if you did it in Left 4 Dead, they were pouring on you. They were like water. It was insane. And this game just doesn't match that same kind of scale. But when it comes to shooting zombies and going from point A to point B through a map, it still has all of the entertainment. And when one of your teammates does actually set off a horde, yeah, that's when it matters. I've also died quite a lot, even on Veteran, for multiple reasons, but the game certainly isn't a pushover. And when it comes to oncoming hordes, if anything, it's actually a lot more difficult. And so when you set off a horde, there is still that threat, that danger of dying. And a lot of the area defense, I've only been playing on my own with random players, but a lot of those can easily fail. And when one person goes down, it matters. It does seem to be far harder to actually recover from someone going down than in Left 4 Dead. I still remember before, in hordes of people coming at me, and you'd just be standing there with a sword just hacking through them all. You don't get that in this. If you start standing there, one person trying to defend against a horde, you're dead. The guy's dead, and you're probably better off shipping up and getting out to somewhere else to a better position, because yeah, you're not doing that on your own. Also, in the positives, there's a lot more weapon variety in this game, obviously, and they do manage to make them feel a bit different. Although, when it comes to the weapon mods themselves, I'm not so sure that's a good idea. They actually seem to be more important than the weapons themselves, and there's no way you can actually take them off the gun. And so, I've ended up with an ACOG on an SMG. I didn't want it, it just happened, and there's no way for me to take it off. And also, when you upgrade weapons, you can't take off a mod from one gun and put it on your next gun. And so, sometimes you feel that even though you're picking up an objectively better gun, it feels like you're making a downgrade because that one's got all the mods on it and you really want to move them across and you can't. And there's things like that. It's like, overall, I like the game, and, well, I'm still a bit dubious about the price of it. I'd prefer it to be, more like £40 than £50 personally. Making it the same price as, like, a game like Battlefield, it just doesn't seem the same kind of value proposition for me. That mod situation kind of summarizes the rest of the game for me. It has lots of good points. I think the card system's actually awesome. Even 8 hours in, I'm already, struggling to work out which cards I should take. They have a lot of competition. Limiting you to 15 actually sounds like a lot, but you soon run out of spots. And they're really powerful. Early on, I was really running out of ammo, but now I got 50% boost. It really helps, but that means I can't take damage mitigation and everything else. And so I can see these decks really coming in handy. And also the currency for the cards, that really does actually add this element of progression and feeling like you're accomplishing something every time you finish the map, which does add an extra element to it that was missing from the first one. But all that time, even though everything about it is good, it just feels like it needs a bit more work. Like, I have a multi-monitor setup and a bit of an odd situation where I only want to use part of the monitor simply because it's easier to record for YouTube. And yet I can't do that unless I turn off all my other monitors. Otherwise, the game starts appearing on 2 monitors at the same time. And I don't know why. I've never had a game do it. It's just weird. And I'm probably a very niche situation, so I can understand it. I'm not going to knock them down for that. But it's still an annoying bug. The hordes, as they don't quite feel as impactful as everything else. The zombies don't feel quite as impactful. They don't charge at you like they used to in Left 4 Dead. You're not pushed as much. The focus is more on the specials. And I liked Left 4 Dead specials where there was only really the charger and the tank that were like bullet sponges, whereas in this, most of them tend to be. I don't think I've met them all at this point. But even their version of the spitter is now a tank, and you really have to make use of the sort of weak points on them. And some of them will do, like there's one which has a weak point on his arm, but as he walks at you, he'll walk at you with his left arm forward, so you can't shoot it unless someone else shoots it. Which is it's got a bit of depth. It adds more depth to the game. But all of the specials, like requiring a hell of a lot of bullets getting into them, it kind of feels to me as if they did that to make up for the lower amount of normal zombies. And I'm not for that. Also, the bots are awful. These bots might be some of the worst bots I've ever seen in a game. And they don't even have to do much. Left 4 Dead bots didn't do much. All they did was stick with you and shoot things and revive you. They didn't even do the objectives, so I'm not even asking this game to do objectives. But they also don't res you. I've died before because I went down and all 3 zombies stood on my face and did nothing. Sometimes they'll get stuck and they'll just stand there and get beaten to death. There was another time where, as we were walking through a building, there was one of the sort of the wall specials, I can't remember its name, but that was on the other side of a wall, and all of my bots were stuck on it. They were just shooting this wall forever, and then all the other zombies ran up to them and just started beating them to death. And until I went and killed that special, they were locked on it and they wouldn't move, and they could not physically swap what they were meant to shoot at. Going through solo in this is incredibly difficult, and there's one mission where you have to fire these big caliber shells, which I think might be impossible. Anyone that can do that on their own with bots is insane. I mean, they try. They get on miniguns and stuff, but overall, it really is things like lack of revives and getting locked onto enemies, not defending themselves, which is just a huge problem. And this actually adds up later on. So if you join a map later on, which you're filling a spot, you will take over a bot. But I've actually had it where a couple of rounds in, I spawned on a bot which hadn't even picked up a gun. So I was literally running around with a bat that took me multiple swings to kill anything. And it was awful. I basically never recovered from that. And that was just because the bot had done nothing. The bot hadn't gathered. At least in Left 4 Dead, they would gather loot. They would pick up things. They would upgrade weapons and everything else. So if you took them over, you still were set up for the next round. You don't in this. And a lot of that, I think, comes down to the buy system for the game, which works great for players, but awful for bots, because no bot is going to go into that buy system and buy things every round so they can take it through the map. And I think it needs to. If you're going to put these mechanics in the game, you need to make your bots able to do them. That's kind of fundamental, especially when all of this backfilling becomes so important and people leave. And when someone leaves and you're a man down left with a bot, that is a huge detriment, and it makes the entire map a lot harder. And also, I know this is a beta, I know people haven't played it, but so many things happen like this scene, where I get stuck in a web and all I need is that guy in front of me to go and hit me with his melees just so he can free me. And he turns around, he stares at me, and then he runs away. Like, seriously, I have no idea what he was doing. I don't know why he did it, but there's so many parts of the population that do that. You really have to pray that you've got teammates who can even do the most basic of skills when it comes to this game. And so that can also be frustrating. And I think when it comes down to it, all of the problems most of the problems that I've mentioned are solved in one way. And I think this is how they designed it. Really, they want you to play with friends. That's literally it. I don't know whether the bots were an afterthought. I don't know why they're so much worse than they were in Left 4 Dead. But all of the downsides of this game seem to be solved just by playing with friends. And I know that's understandable, and it was obviously more fun when you play with friends. But I never knew that so many downsides were there. That was clearly the way it was designed, to the detriment of solo players. And this game is going to be tough if you play on your own. Because unlike Left 4 Dead, where basically as long as you didn't get hit by specials, you could kind of carry through all of the modes and do the entire map on your own unless you got caught by one. In this, really not so much. Maybe it's early on, maybe the cards will be able to make me a lot stronger, and maybe I'll get a lot better at the game. But actually, solo carrying on this is very, very difficult. You do need people around you who will at least either take some of the hits or melee you when you get stuck in a web. I mean, it really is that simple. But overall, I was a big fan of the Left 4 Dead franchise, and all I wanted from this was the same game with better graphics, and they've given me that, and they've given me more, so I'm very happy with this game. I've had a lot of fun in it, and I'm definitely going to be continuing to play it. I'd still be on it now if I didn't need to rest my arms and make videos. So if you're a fan of Left 4 Dead, I think you'll be a fan of this. You can get in this beta, there's keys available, there's Twitch drops to get the keys for if you watch for an hour, and then there's an open beta again later on, so you can always try it for yourself and see what you think. But the new systems are awesome. The guns are varied. I really like the card system, and they have added quite a lot of new features to the Left 4 Dead franchise. It's just, I think it needs more polish. There are bugs that they need to solve out, like the monitor bug. They do need to rebalance some of the stuff. I think they could do with changing their whole AI, which organizes the zombies and everything, to send out more hordes, send out more zombies. The shooting itself is quite satisfying, even if the gun animations and everything do seem fairly poor compared to a lot of more modern games. They certainly haven't kept up with modern times. But for something like this, which is just a co-op shooter, I think that's fine. The fun is there, the replayability is there, and grinding out through the card system and going through all the maps, I think is going to be a decent thing. The maps are very well designed, they seem varied enough. It's just that there are some scenes from Left 4 Dead that really stayed with me, and one of them is that bridge level. So to see in the beta, a bridge level which is almost identical, just run across a bridge, get to the other end to escape, and it just doesn't have the tension, purely because the zombies don't spawn in the right places and they don't spawn in the correct amounts. A lot of them end up spawning as you're running past them, so you run past them and now they're behind you. There's not a lot of oncoming traffic for you to cut through. That takes off a lot of the pressure because you're not having to slaughter things in front of you to stay alive. So I really think they need to sort out the spawning on things like that to make more pressure. And they probably need to increase the zombie count, but hey, maybe all that's done at the higher levels, I don't know. I've only done veterans so far, which is the second highest level. But that's where I am with the game. I think the core concept of the game is awesome. I think a lot of the features and the maps are great. It literally is just tweaking some things. If they made some adjustments, which are fully capable of doing, then I think this could be an amazing game. It feels like it needs a bit more work, but it does have 2 months yet before launch, so these are all things that they could fix. And if they do that, and they do that extra work, this game could be incredible. As it is now, I think it's good, I think it's fun, but I do think it needs more polish. But for now, that's it from me. If you like the video, press like and subscribe for more content in the future, and let me know what you think of Back 4 Blood down below. Have you been playing the beta? What are your opinions of it? I'm interested to find out. But for now, that's it from me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.